Welcome to episode number 80. Most of my family members live to be 80. They do. They have longevity. Except on my mother's side, sometimes they could die early, from smoking, cancer, stuff like that. But my dad's side, they all live to be in their 90s, which has absolutely nothing to do with our 80th episode.
Where it was going.
Man, I remember when we started.
Yeah.
I was listening to ESPN and they said there's a new podcast called One Cardinal, One Cup, One Beer, and we predict it will only make it to episode 79.
They don't know nothing.
Yeah, they don't know anything. Here we are. And if you believe that pile of horse manure, I've got some oceanfront property in Oklahoma to sell you. So I do want you to make sure that you like us on Facebook. Contact us through onecard1cup1beer@gmail.com. And as the arrow said, if you're not subscribed to our YouTube page, please subscribe to it so you will have our content as soon as we drop it. You want to, as soon as we drop it. I mean, it is so hot. As soon as we drop it, that's when you'll want us. Support us on Patreon. Go to patreon.com, search one card, one cardinal, one cup, and one beer, and you can support our efforts for anywhere from $3, $5 to $10 a month, and all of your support is greatly appreciated by me and JJ. JJ, don't you appreciate that support?
I'm so appreciative. Thank you all.
I have JJ coming to me so many times in tears saying, Vince, I just love our Patreon supporters. Just crying. It's just wonderful. Hey, if you'd like to be a contestant, one of our trivia contests, a guest on one of our brouhaha panels, if you have an interesting baseball story, anecdote, or connection to the game that you think would make a good interview, please contact us because we like to have our listeners, our watchers as our guests. It makes it really cool. So get a hold of us. So JJ, how are you doing?
Doing good. We got some guests lined up for the next coming weeks. I think you're all going to like, and we're going to learn some stuff. I was actually going through some boxes, always looking for new things for the podcast, the show. First of all, Friday they had the Jordan Walker bobblehead. Fresh off the presses. He's even got the mustache and the little beard right there. The shin guard. I like that very much. This is the box that came in. So for all you collectors, very good. And not only do we have music fans on here, we all seems to in common we have baseball and music and wrestling. And I was going through some boxes looking for some stuff to bring on the show. And Vince, I found some stuff. Well, first of all, the program, I went to one WrestleMania. It's April. WrestleManias are usually in April, a lot of wrestling. You went to a wrestling match on Sunday, I believe.
Well, I'll tell you about that in a minute.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it. But this is the WrestleMania 17. Some consider the greatest WrestleMania ever. And this was at Houston in the old Astrodome. So this was the program from it. And Vince, you will not believe what I found. This was my souvenir from WrestleMania 17, 2001. I got two of them. The first one is they're the drink. They're like little drinking mugs. But here's the first one. Can you believe it, baby? Give me a hell yeah. There we go. Look at that. It's Stone Cold right there. The little drinking thing here. He's about that big. And of course, that was the main event. And he was also in the main event with, oh, can you smell what the Rock is cooking? So that confirms it. I am maybe the biggest dork that there's ever been, but right there, nobody else. This is for only the best guests. Fine dining. We have the president in, or the governor. We're breaking out these bad boys.
I want to know what person would want to drink their beverage sucking through the straw of two half-naked men.
He's got a vest. He's got a vest on. What are you talking about? And this is before. Oh, there went Stan the Man.
Stan can say, I want the wrestlers gone.
There, look at the eyebrow. Oh yeah. Woo! I'm telling you, Vince. And that WrestleMania, for a lot of you, some of it, this was the Shane McMahon, Vince McMahon street fight. And Linda McMahon was in a comatose state. And of course, she comes to and helps Shane win. This was also the one with the famous tables, ladders, and chairs match with the Dudleys and Christian Cage and oh man, that was a heck of a match. Christian and Edge and the Hardy Boys, Triple H and the Undertaker, and the main event was Stone Cold and The Rock. What a night! That was fantastic. So for all you wrestling fans and Limp Bizkit, speaking of music, uh, they had "Rollin'" was Undertaker's theme song at the time. He went from the dead man to the biker kind of persona, and "My Way or the Highway" I think was the main song for that WrestleMania. So I combined wrestling and music right there for the beginning of our podcast. How about that, Vince?
That's great. So Sunday night, now my daughter Violet, she's a huge wrestling fan, and I don't know, 6 weeks ago, she said, "Dad, uh, there's a going to be a pay-per-view in St. Louis, um, and I've already got tickets for it. I got preferred parking and everything. She's paid for all this."
Hey.
So, and her friend Zach couldn't go, so she
Oh.
took Dad, but it was still pretty cool. So I'm excited because the matches are all really good matches. The only other time I've been to an AEW show was a few years ago. And it was a Friday Rampage show, and it wasn't that good. There was like 2 hours of dark matches where you watched local wrestlers get squashed by AEW stars. Um, so I was really excited to go to this, and then I got really, really excited because there is a wrestler who's the best wrestler on the planet today, and his name is Will Ospreay, and he's been
Right.
wrestling in Japan and Europe. Well, he signed with AEW. He decided not to sign with WWE, signed with AEW, and so I've seen some of his matches on TV, and one of his things that he says is that he's on a different level, and he really is. So one of the other great wrestlers that is out today, he's a little older, but he's still in great shape, still a great performer, is Bryan Danielson. So they're going to have this match at this Will Ospreay against Bryan Danielson, and I'm like stoked for it, you know. And I'm not stupid. I know it's all a work. I appreciate the performance, though. I don't go to a movie and think, well, this isn't real. They're all just pretending. I understand this, you know. So anyway, I was so stoked to see the performance. We get there, the matches were all great. There was one that wasn't that good, and I think one of the wrestlers, I think she may have gotten injured because it was a short match, and they didn't do all their hot spots. But you know, it was still a good match. It just seemed like there was something a little off, but everything else was just really good. So we get to this match with Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson, and it was amazing. It was so entertaining. It was so good, and the crowd was really into it. And they are both so talented, and they make things look so effortless and fluid and everything. And so after the match, everybody was still jacked, and there's still two more matches to go, by the way. So everybody's really jacked for this. And then the next match was the Young Bucks against FTR, and Jungle Boy Jack Perry, who's now just Jack Perry, made his re-entrance and helped the Bucks win the tag team titles. Those of you who are not wrestling fans have no idea. But the final match was Samoa Joe against Swerve Strickland. Swerve Strickland beat him for the championship, becoming the first African American AEW champion. So that was kind of special. But on the way home, we're talking about all the matches. We're really talking about this Danielson Ospreay match. And Violet had already, because she's into all the wrestling sites and everything, she'd already got a notification that one of the big wrestling writers has already said this is the best match he's ever seen.
Dave Metzer, is
No,
that
it
the
wasn't
guy?
Metzler. It was
Oh,
Alvarez.
okay.
So last night I'm in Springfield, and I'm just looking through the internet or my phone, looking through the headlines. and Dave Metzler, who is the preeminent uh, guy in wrestling, he said that this was the best wrestling match ever on United States soil. He didn't go as
Oh,
far as to say ever, but he said on U.S. soil, this is the best wrestling match ever.
how about
I felt
that?
so honored to be there to such a
Yeah.
wrestling match. Um, we knew that the hype was there that this could potentially be something special for a wrestling match, and for it to deliver and even exceed our expectations was pretty cool. And I just thought it was cool. The Violet and I were able to see what is considered now the best wrestling match ever on U.S. soil. And I watched a lot of wrestling growing up, and there was like a 25-year period I didn't watch it at all. And then Violet, about 4 or 5 years ago, when this AEW company started up, she said, "You need to start watching this. It's different than WWE," which I didn't care about that. So started
Yeah, I'm with
watching
you.
it. I got into the stories and really liked it. Um, but yeah, this was the best match I've ever seen. And um, it was just, it was fantastic. So that was just really cool. So there's my wrestling story for the day. We should do a wrestling podcast. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
I don't have time to do a wrestling podcast.
Yeah, this takes a lot of time right here.
Oh yeah. So, but anyway, that was easily the highlight of my week is going to that and having such a great time and seeing such excellent performers. So,
I
but
uh I have something to bring up. I when I find something that I like to pass it on to everybody. And Friday, I got a message that there is a memorabilia store, a card store in Caledonia, Missouri. And it's called, and if you've been ever to Caledonia, it's not a very big town. It's got a lot of everybody knows about the candy store, but really there's not a whole lot down there. As you're on your way to Elephant Rock from Potosi down 21. So I thought I'd go down there, and what they were advertised. Well, first of all, I get there and it's very cool. They got old gas station signs on the outside. They got Chris Farley on one of the pillars from I'm living in a van down by the river from Saturday Night Live. I go in, it's a great store. There's a guy named Brad Juliet. He owns it. It's fantastic. It's probably like 80% baseball, but there's some other, all four major sports are represented. Outstanding. This is an oasis in the middle of this desert because a lot of us from down this area have to go all the way to St. Louis or order stuff off the internet. I recommend going down there. It's fantastic. The prices are great. And he has started bringing Cardinal players, and maybe we'll see some other players down there eventually, but he's only been open for about 4 months. And I don't know, I look it up on the internet, the hours, but he said Andy Van Slyke down there. And May 4th, Vince Coleman's going to be there. Check it out. Go down there. The prices are very reasonable. I look at a lot of memorabilia and sports and cards, and it's very good price. And there's a lot of great deals, things I'd never even seen before. So I know I'm going a little long here, but if you get a chance, go down to Caledonia. I went down on Saturdays, and it's right behind the Roy's gas station in Caledonia. So I thought I'd pass that on, Vince.
yeah, when you sent me that information, I was amazed because my wife and I we go down there about once a year, look at the antiques, buy a few things. There's a you know there, eat it eat at a couple of the restaurants, just kind of make a little day of it. And then where JJ lives in Potosi, there's a resale shop there that we love that we always go. So we kind of make it a day doing that. When JJ told me this, I thought I didn't know there was a card. It's got to be pretty new because I think we just went there in the fall. So then you show me the pictures, and I was like, man, this is really cool. So I'm dying to meet this guy, and I'm dying to go down to Caledonia again. It's going to be a while because we have my daughter's got her a senior or a graduate recital next weekend. The next weekend she graduates with her from her graduate program at Missouri.
Congratulations.
So we got 2 weekends out there. Thank you very much. Um, you know, Max is still on the job hunt. Um, so I got that going on. My youngest Violet, she's getting ready to go away to school, so we're preparing for that.
Oh man.
Um, then my daughters Evelyn and Tabitha. Yeah, they don't have much drama right now.
That's
So
a smooth life right now.
so it's going to be a while before we make it. Probably the summer, but I'm dying to go down there and to see his setup because it looked really cool.
He's got Vince coming, and he's talking in the near future of some other ball players. I don't want to say anything yet. Hoping to get him on the show. He's been checking out the podcast, but it's great to have something down here because to be honest, for us card collectors, really the only thing we have around here is Walmart. You go out there and every week it's a mishmash. Something you're looking for might not even be there. So this guy had everything there and some old sets. My 75s that I like to look at. I got some 75s from him and some Enos Slaughter cards. So I recommend going down there. He's a big Ted Williams fan too. So he's all right in my book because that's my all-time favorite player right there.
Very cool. Very
Very
cool.
cool.
JJ, you know what the White Sox record is?
Oh, I got it written down over here. I'm gonna try not to look. I think it's like 5-19 or something like that.
3-19.
Oh my Lord, that is rough.
Of those 19 losses, guess how many have been shutouts?
10.
8.
Oh
That's
Lordy.
most shutouts this early in a season through 22 games.
Oh,
So they are terrible.
they're terrible. And they're one of the teams in our fantasy league, by the way.
Who's got them? Is that
Uh, I think that's Dan Rutledge.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dan.
Yeah, Dan Rutledge, you're last place in the
I
American
did
League
not
with a
pick
3-19 record.
They did. So
They did go 1-6 this week though. They did go
yeah.
1-6, so they got a win in there.
What I find is amazing that 3 years ago or 2 seasons ago they were a playoff team,
Yeah.
and last year the wheels just fell off, and the night they got shut out the eighth time last night, Dylan Cease went out there and shoved again. So
Oh,
it,
insult to injury right there.
yeah. And I know that one of their only decent pitchers is Kopech, and now he's rumored to be linked in trades. One of the teams is the Cubs. So yeah, I think is Luis Roberts injured? Um, I know he got off to a
Yes. Yeah, he's injured. There's two of their main stars injured right now.
uh,
Mikado and Roberts, I believe, are
yeah.
both hurt
And
right now.
Jimenez has been fighting some injuries, but he's playing. Um, but boy, it's just a sad show, and they're trying to put together a a package to be able to build a new stadium, which I really want them to do there or the downtown area by the river,
Oh, that'd be nice.
the Chicago River. You know, not a huge river or anything, but that would be so cool. I want them to stay in Chicago.
Me too.
I just it's a terrible time to be this bad for them. And as someone who, I'm not like a big White Sox fan, but I grew up watching them on cable because I had two Chicago stations on our cable. I only had like 12 channels from cable. Two of them came out of Chicago. One was WGN, saw the Cub games. One was WFLD, which showed the White Sox game, which was a very cheap production because WFLD is definitely not WGN. You're still around anymore. But it's just sad. I remember in the 90s when they had Frank Thomas and they were so good. Blackjack McDowell.
Jim Tomei.
Yeah,
Jim
they
Tomei was there.
play.
Kernerko.
Yeah, and then they win the World Series in 2005, and to sink this low, it's just disheartening.
Well, Vince, I'm not going to laugh too loud or feel too bad because the Cardinals, we almost last year we fell apart, and this year we're a little bit better. But if it weren't for them, we might be down at the bottom. So, it can happen to anybody. And I don't know. It seemed like when they got Tony La Russa, that didn't work out. Tony was a lot older than he'd been out of the game for a little while, and with the young players, and then this year, and Anderson's gone now. For whatever it was worth, he was seemed like maybe the captain of the team. I don't know, but yeah, it's falling apart quick over there in on White Sox country over there.
Well, I think he was captain of the team, but by virtue of a knockout, I think Jose Ramirez is now the captain of the White Sox.
That's right. Yeah, he learned. He kind of kept his mouth shut after that one.
So I just saw Tim Anderson in Chicago for the Cubs series, playing for the Marlins. He's got the highest ground ball rate in baseball right now, sitting around 250, and he hit a double this weekend, which was only his second extra base hit of the whole season. And that's one of the problems with the Marlins. They're not hitting. I'll get into that later, but
Yeah.
when I talk about the Cubs week, but yeah, I just cannot believe how bad I knew they were going to be bad. But when I mean bad, I mean after 23 games, they would be like 8 wins, 9 wins. To have 3 wins, that's almost impossible to do. And
Yeah.
it's like a 136 winning percentage.
My goodness.
Yeah, it's just sad. So I last night, or yeah, I think it was last night, I got a text from Max saying that showing me a little clip that Jackson Holiday is 1 for 30 entering tonight. Um, and there's already, send him down, and he's only 20, send him down. I don't, he should be fine. But it did remind me that Ryan Sandberg, he played in 81 in like 2 games for the 2 or 3 games for the Phillies. Um, and he was 1 for 6. So he got his first major league hit as a Philly. In the offseason, they traded him to the Cubs. And that's how the Cubs got him. And I think they traded DeJesus for him, Ivan DeJesus.
Wow.
And Sandberg, in his career with the Cubs, started 0 for 22 in 1982. So even though he was 1 for 6 the previous year, his new team went in really, his first year, official rookie year, he started the season 0 for 22 and ended up in the Hall of Fame. So Jackson Holiday, at this point, Sandberg was 2 for 29. Jackson Holiday's 1 for 30, which is pretty close. So I'm just saying Jackson Holiday is going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. He's
Uh,
following the Ryan Sandberg path to the Hall of Fame. He's going to be fine. So
well, when Mickey Mantle came up, he struggled, and he struggled so much so that they sent him back to the minors, and it devastated him. His dad was giving him some tough love, like, "Hey, work your butt off and get back up there," because he was questioning, "Am I good enough to play in the majors?" And he worked his butt off, got back up there, and never went back down to the minors. Mike Trout came up after that May 15th date so they could get an extra year on his contract, and he struggled a little bit. On our team, Wynn last year came up and he looked like he was overmatched, kind of like Victor Scott II. He came in there and just it looked like they were just knocking the bat out of his hand. And this year, with that month of he got into the league and he got to see what it was about. He's come out and he may be one of our better hitters so far this year. So it happens to everybody, and I don't think there's anything that Jackson Holiday needs to go back to AAA and learn. He dominated in AAA. He's probably pressing a little bit, and even though he's starting out so slow, I think they're like 7-3 in games that he's on the team. So he hasn't hurt him too much. I think he's playing good defense, and this kid's going to turn it around. And like you say, Vince, I don't know if he's going to be an all-star this year, but before too long, he'll be on some all-star teams.
yeah, and that team has so much talent. They can
Yes,
afford
sir.
to go 1 for 30.
Yeah.
They can. And like you said, it makes no sense when a player is dominating AAA and they come up to the majors, they struggle a little bit. They send them down. You see them dominating in AAA. They're above that league now. They just haven't figured out how to translate their skills into the MLB level. So sending them down to have them keep doing what they know they can already do really kind of defeats the purpose. There's no learning curve there. If they so thoroughly dominate AAA, bring them up, let them struggle a bit because you can afford to, because you're the Baltimore Orioles with all the talent in the world. Let them struggle a little bit, figure it out, and become a contributor. I don't think this is a situation where you necessarily need to send him down. If they want to send him down, fine, but he's just going to go to AAA and shove, and then they're going to bring him back up again. See if he's ready now. You know,
they just brought up another one of their phenoms, another one of them. This team is, I mean, their minor leagues are stacked. I know they had some down years, but they drafted very well, and this team looks like it's going to be a force to be reckoned with for many years to come.
Yeah.
Whew.
Just a little patience, you know, and the Oriole fans, they're fine.
They're fine. Well, you know, a lot of all the stars are struggling this year. Judge is really having a rough go of it, and they booed him. He just hit 60 something home runs 2 years ago. He was the MVP, and now they're booing him. Come on, Yankee fans, you're better than that. This is the captain of your team. You know he's going to turn it around.
No, they're not better than that. That's Yankee fans.
That's how they are. Oh
the first
man,
place team. Your big acquisition in the offseason is carrying you right back. Your best starter you don't even have on the mound. You're in first place. And so what? So he's having a bad month, hitting 150 or whatever. Jeez, Beazle,
I'll take him.
Boo him.
I'll take him.
Okay, I can see if you've won 5 games. If you're the White Sox 2-19 and your best players hitting that, yeah, you might want to take out your frustrations and boo him because he should be shouldering this. But you know, this is instead of booing a Judge, why don't you put that booing energy and cheer Soto even louder because he's having an awesome year. So
they do love him there, by the way. But that can turn if he goes over 2 weeks. They'll turn on him.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand Yankee fans. It's like I was telling you last year, you know, one of the listen to one of the shows and some Yankee fan called it said, "This we deserve better than this. We deserve it." You don't deserve anything. Baseball, it's a sport. You know,
yeah.
It's not a deserved thing. You did not do anything better by virtue of the fact that your residency is in New York, that you have a more deserved right for your team to win the World Series than the freaking Colorado Rockies. Okay?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with it.
And they're not getting sympathy from the Cub fans, the Red Sox fans. Every other franchise has had some struggles through the years. Yankees have had a blessed existence. I'm with you.
I just watched Unforgiven earlier.
Great movie.
And when he's got what's his name, little Bill against the floor with his shotgun at him, and he said, "I don't deserve this." He said, "Deserve has nothing to do with it." That's the way I feel.
Oh, did you happen to see Aaron Boone get ejected after 5 pitches? Are you aware of that?
It seems like I ran across that, but I didn't see a video of it or anything.
It was Oakland. They had a disagreement after like the 4th pitch, and it was a Wendelstedt was the umpire, and you know Aaron Boone gets rung up probably more than anybody in the majors right now, and he is kind of a hothead, and he finally calmed down. He's sitting there, and somebody said something, and it was the fan, like in the first or second row behind the dugout. But Wendelstedt thought it was Boone and said, "That's it, you're out of here." And you know, Boone's running around going, "I didn't say anything," but he got rung up. I think part of that's the history Boone's got, where he gets into it with people all the time. But that time he was innocent, and I don't know if that's a replayable offense or anything, but whatever was said must have been the magic word, because it got rung up after 5 pitches. Now, Vince, I looked this up. That's not the record. There's been many people thrown out of the game before the game ever started when they bring in the scorecards up to the ump. Usually something happens the day before. But here's a couple of guys that Earl Weaver got ejected before the game started. You know, Earl, that's not surprising. Um, let's see. But Earl Weaver got thrown out of both ends of a double hitter. He got in before 1952. If you got thrown out of one game, you were thrown out of the second game. But after 1952, you could come back out for a double hitter. But
I
Earl
did
got
not
thrown
know
out of
that.
both games of a double hitter, and the record for getting thrown out. I had some statistics here, but the record is Bobby Cox, 162 games, and then John McGraw, 121, and then Leo DeRocher, 100. Those are the three managers that's been thrown out of over 100 games. And but I believe it was. I have some statistics somewhere where somebody got thrown out. I think it was a man. I can't. I forgot so many notes here, but I think it was a Rockies manager, and I think it was like 2012 was when the last time that happened before the game. Evidently, something happened the night before, and they were going to address it right out of the gate, and then the temperatures got going.
Hmm.
So man, how about that? But Aaron, Aaron Boone out right at the gate.
He didn't deserve to be thrown out.
That's right, Yankee fans. 2015, it was the Reds manager Brian Price. He got thrown out before the game, taking out the scorecards, and then 2013 White Sox Mark Parent. So there's two guys in the 2000s that got thrown out before the game started.
Hmm. Wow. Now, uh, as we speak, Ranger Suarez is riding a 25 inning scoreless streak, which is amazing, which even highlights even further. He's not even halfway to Oral Hershiser's scoreless streak, right? So,
Man,
5 innings, that's hard to do. Well, Oral just kept pitching and pitching and pitching, and
oh,
nobody was scoring off it. Earl Hershiser was not pitching 6 innings, though. He was pitching 9 innings during his,
yes.
as was Drysdale when he had his
Oh,
58 inning streak. So, other news, Craig Kimbrell passes Billy Wagner on seventh on the all-time save list with
all
423
right.
saves. Do you
Very
think
good.
Kimbrell's a Hall of Famer?
I'd have to look at his stats. I'd have to go through there and look at world championships. He's answered the bell. He's been the closer for a long time. I don't know. I'd have to look at the other closers who are in, compare them. Let's wait until he's done and see what compare him. He's on the bubble. He's getting there.
Yeah, he's getting there. Um, In Detroit, Tarek Skubal is now 3-0 with a 1.82 ERA, leading that Detroit team to a hot start. And if you'll remember, before the season started, that was Max's pick for Cy Young in the American League.
Outstanding,
And
Max.
Skubal is got a fastball that sits in the upper 90s, and he can touch 100. Got a fantastic arm, and seems to be blossoming into the star that Detroit thought they had when they developed him. So that's pretty awesome. Looking at the power rankings that are out, number one, the Braves, number two, Yankees, number three, Baltimore, number four, the Guardians, which is a huge surprise to me. And number five is another huge surprise, are the Brewers, who've gotten off to a great start. And I'm
Yeah.
just to the point now where I feel like, okay, the Brewers could throw out Rhonda's daycare and they'd still win 90 games. Doesn't matter who's managing them. It doesn't matter who's playing on the field. For some reason, God has decided that Brewers every year are going to win 90 games and be in the thick of this race. So I'm now,
We got our hands full.
yeah. Other teams to note, the Dodgers are number six. And if you would have told me at the beginning of the season they would ever drop out of the top three, I would have said, "You're nuts." There, the Cubs are at nine, which is a fair slot for them. Astros, who the Cubs start a series with tonight, are down to 21, and that's the
Struggling.
biggest surprise to me because they've got so much talent. I hope they don't get hot tonight. I hope they wait till they leave.
Yeah. Tiptoe past them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because soon enough they're going to catch fire. The Cardinals are at 24, which is
I think
about
that's I think that's generous, to be honest with you, Vince, right now.
that.
I think it's a little generous.
All right, I've dealt with negative Cardinal fans last night. Okay,
Okay.
yeah, and then you guys come back with a walk-off home run. So
you don't want to get too proud. You don't want to get too. You're thankful for everything. You sneak through. We'll take our win, no matter how we get it. But right now, just things aren't clicking. But I'll get to that in a little bit.
Oh,
What do you
go ahead.
think?
Go ahead and get to it when you want. I
Well, I was going to talk about Otani. He hit a home run. It was his 176th, and making him the all-time Japanese-born home run leader. He passed Hideki Matsui, who played for the Yankees. So congratulations to Otani, another achievement. And Vince, right now it looks like that guy's headed to Cooperstown. I know it's early, but he's looking pretty good, and that's another record for him.
see. Matsui, I he wasn't that great of a power hitter. He was a power hitter, but he wasn't like hitting 35, 40 ding dongs every year. He was, in the 20s,
Yeah,
I was kind of surprised that he had racked up, because he had a
that,
short career because he came from Japan. I was surprised he racked up that many home runs because I remember him driving in a lot of runs, but I don't remember him hitting. I don't know if he ever hit 30 home runs.
the thing about him was he was on that dynasty of the Yankees,
Yeah.
and I think he got as odd as it sounds, like lost in the shuffle. Everybody was focused on other people, and he just was steady Eddie and just kept producing. But it wasn't like, the Paul O'Neills or the Bunny Williams or the Posadas and the Jeters. That he just big piece of the puzzle though. And yeah, I'm with you. I didn't realize he had hit that many home runs myself.
Mm.
Another odd stat that happened this week is the Colorado Rockies have played 23 games, Vince, and they just tied a record. They have been behind in all 23 games. Wasn't aware of that. I heard that on the radio this morning, and they tied the 1931 Cincinnati Reds. So, hey, congratulations. And the Rockies is another one of the teams in our fantasy league that's in the last place in the National League in our fantasy league.
They're the National League version of the White Sox. They're just a mess.
Yeah. I want to say I would watch it. This is how sick I am, Vince. I would sit and watch a game between the White Sox and Rockies. To me, that would be fun.
Oh yeah. See, the late great Tina Turner, who just passed away a few years ago, she should
RP.
have done a parody of her song "Simply the Best." You're simply a mess. Apply that to some of these teams that are a mess right now. So, got anything else? Or
No, that's it for the week right there, as far as news and stuff and statistics and things like
what's up
that.
with the Cardinals this week?
Well, the Cardinals, just when you think things are going in the right direction, well, we take a U-turn, but we're hanging in there. We're better than we were last year. I don't have exactly what we were at this time last year, but the Cardinals this week were 2-4, and I'll take that from where we went through. On the year, we're in last place in the Central in the National League. We're 10-13, and we're 5 games back. But we're right there. I mean, we haven't got left behind. We're still within striking distance. Once you get past 5, I start to worry a little bit. But 5's within striking distance, and all the teams at one time or another. I know the Pirates shot out of the gate, and now they've kind of fell back down. The Cubs have gotten hot. The Brewers have stayed there. And then, of course, the Reds are oh so dangerous. Them Reds, any team in our division, I respect, I worry about. Those Reds, I think they'll surprise you. Their pitching, the power, that shortstop stealing bases. My gosh, they're going to be tough. Well, the Cardinals, this going into the third week, I start the week off on a Tuesday because that's when we do the podcast. We started off against the Oakland A's on Tuesday. We had won game 1, and we win on Tuesday 3-2. It was a back and forth game. Lance Lynn, although other teams have been able to get to him, he fight. It seems like he's always on the verge of a bad inning. It's like bases loaded or first and third with 1 out, and he'll find a way to get out of it and keep us competitive. He went 7 innings and gave up 1 earned run. His ERA is 2.18. You told me at the beginning of the year, Vince, Lance Lynn at the end of 3 weeks will be at 2.18 ERA. I'll take that in 7 innings, saving the bullpen. We didn't get that last year. The bullpen is so much better this year. I know it's only 3 weeks, but they haven't been overtaxed yet. And it seems like we've got 2 or 3 little groups of guys that come in different situations and have been working at the bullpen. And the starters have just been better this year. Um, let's see. Lynn, what he did, he used the Coliseum to his advantage. He pitched high and made these guys were swinging for the fences, and they were just getting long, lazy fly balls. The Cardinals used their athletic outfield to chase the balls down. He did give up a home run there, but pretty smart using because the Coliseum is you got to really blast one to hit one out of there.
Yeah.
And Helsley came in the relief. It was JoJo Romero, who I'm liking more and more. Crafty lefty with one of those big sliders that come across, or sweepers, what they're calling now. And Helsley came in relief, 2 innings, 2 strikeouts, and Helsley got a 7th save. Helsley has been really good. And last year, Vince, what they were doing, because the bullpen was such a mess, they were having him come in sometimes in the 8th inning. Well, this year he's just a strictly 9th inning guy, and so far so good. He looks like he's an all-star. 7 saves, he's 2-2, and for the most part, he's just almost overpowering these batters. And his off-speed stuff is just as electric as his fastball. So we've got something special there, and I just hope we don't overwork him. Well, finally, Wednesday, it's the getaway game, and the Oakland A's beat us 6-3. They had 10 hits. It was a mess. Steven Matz is outstanding for 4 innings. And then it seems like when he gets in that 5th inning, it just falls apart. I still believe in him. I don't know if he's better as a reliever or a starter, but right now he is in the rotation, and he just hasn't had it this year. But it was 6-3, and we were never really in that game. And Contreras had 2 hits, and his batting average got up to 300. And I'm going to tell you something. I know you guys love him, part of your World Series team, but he has been one of the steadiest guys on our team. He got a stolen base this week. Yachty would get a stolen base every once in a while. It's just because he would lull the defense into sleep. They thought, Yachty ain't going nowhere, and he'd take off and just surprise them and get a stolen base every once in a while. But Contreras is so much faster, and Herrera is too. So, man, these guys, I'm so proud to have them as our 1-2 punches in the catch it, and he's doing so much better job defensively. So we win 2 out of 3 in Oakland. And people say, you should sweep Oakland, but they are a major league team, and they do have some stars on that team. Thursday we had
a great man once said 2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Oh yeah, that's right. But there ain't no way I'm gonna love you. That's right, Meatloaf. Thursday, day off. And then now we come home and we're playing Milwaukee, and I'm thinking, hey, we win these 3 games, we're right there at the top. Well, dream on, Cardinal fan, dream on. Milwaukee is a very good team. They're good defensively. They got timely hitting. I'm telling you what, I like their manager. I like the older guys who's paid their dues and worked their way up. I just like those guys on any team. So we're at home and we lose 1-2 in 10 innings, and that just seems the way it's going. Some of these games we fight, we a heck of a game right there. It was Jordan Walker bobblehead night. His grandmother threw out the first pitch. That was kind of a touching thing. We were down 1-0, and in the bottom of the 9th, we tied it up, only to lose it in the 10th inning. And Vince, this sums up our season so far. We are just striking out too much. When you strike out, there was a situation, you start out extra innings with a man on second, and Lars Newbar's up. Love Lars, but he struck out. Now there's 1 out and a man at second. And then the next guy came up and moved him over, and then we end the game with Gorman striking out. Was the man on third base, and 2 outs. We just can't get the timely hitting. We'll have bases loaded and no outs, and we don't score a single run sometimes. And that just absolutely kills you. Gibson pitched that game, and I tell you what, he's been everything I thought he would be. He's a solid pitcher. 6 innings, 1 earned run. He did walk 4, and he had 3 strikeouts. And his ERA is 5.04 because he's had a bad game in there. But here, the last couple starts, he's been going 6 and 7 innings, which is fantastic to see. And so then Saturday, it was just one of those games. tip your cap. They beat us 12-5. We weren't really even in that game. Michaelis had a bad outing. 4.2 innings to give up 5 earned runs, and the game was pretty much over then. And Michaelis's ERA is north of 6. He's got to get it together. He hasn't found it quite yet. There's moments where he looks good and goes 2 or 3 innings, but then he has that one big bad inning that's killed us and him. All 3 relievers though came in, and we just didn't have it that day. Even our relievers didn't have it that day. So they take the first 2, and we go into Sunday and we lose 2-0. And let me tell you, Sonny Gray, this is one of these guys, he pitches. And Sonny Gray went out there, gave you everything he had. And Vince, I don't remember the last time a Cardinal struck out 12 batters. He goes 6 1/3. He gets 2 earned runs, and that's when he left the game. And 12 Ks, 1 walk. And he now has pitched 17 1/3 innings and gave up 1 walk. And he's got 23 strikeouts in those 17 1/3 innings. He's been very good. I didn't think he was a big strikeout pitcher. I just thought he was a pitcher, ground balls, make the guys pop it up and stuff. But he's really done good. He kind of reminds me of kind of Earl Hershiser, like a bulldog mentality. He just was so focused. In an interview after the game, he didn't even know what day of the week it was. So I like that he's so focused. He's just focused on the game. But anyway, Sonny Gray, I'm going to enjoy. I got off work and I didn't go to bed after I worked midnights. I didn't go to bed because I wanted to see Sonny Gray pitch. And even though we lost, it was so much fun watching him play. But the Brewers matched us inning per inning, and we just weren't hitting at all. Jojo Romero, Kittredge, and Liberatore came in for 2.2 innings and did not give up a run, but we just couldn't score. They owned us. We just didn't have it. We left 10 men on base, and as Mike Shannon said, double, that's going to come back and bite you if you don't get those runs in there.
Yeah.
So now Arizona comes in. It don't get no easier. Defending National League champs. But last night was one of those games we needed. Maybe this will be a moment in time where everything starts turning. We were down. That kid from Arizona, I can't say his name, Fifth. Okay. He comes in, pitches, and he had a perfect game going through 5 innings. And finally, he lost control and walked 3 guys in 1 inning. We got a couple of runs. We're down 3-2. Goldie, who has been struggling mightily and striking out more than I've ever seen him strike out, playing good defense, though. And he hit a home run. Oh, and that was like a big chip off there because I know he works hard, and it just hasn't been coming. Last night it was, let's see, I'm looking through my notes here. Lance Lynn he pitched 5 innings, 3 runs, 7 strikeouts, and his ERA is still below 3. The bullpen came in and pitched 4 innings, did not give up a run, held the fort, and then in the bottom, was that the bottom of the ninth? The bottom of the ninth, Goldie got a hit to get on. Nobody out. They brought a different reliever in, and Nolan and Gorman, who, my gosh, I got his stats. I'll go over a little bit later, but he crushed a home run. Walk off. Everybody's at home plate when he comes in, and it was a big celebration. And that was a big game because it just through 5 innings. I was talking to last night. I was talking to Gieselman. And he had a big smile on his face. He was at he's the beer man at the ball game, and he goes, "Oh, JJ, through 5 innings, we had about half the beer men out there because people were just like, oh, this game's over." Some people weren't drinking, and so they about half of many as beer guys. And he said, all of a sudden, he just lost control, and everybody was like, you could just feel it, the air in the stadium changing, and the crowd was really getting into it, and they fought back and won. So that was so good to see. 2-4 is a lot better than 1-5. We'll take it, considering what we went through this week. So some of the things, we have 2 more with Arizona. 6:45 game tonight, which is going on at this moment. We're playing Wednesday. We have a day off, and then we head out to New York to play the Mets, and then we're going to Detroit to play the Tigers. I tell you what, the Mets have been, last I heard, they were struggling, but I know Tigers are doing really good.
Mets have been pretty hot lately.
They've been hot. So we're going to get to the end of the month playing 2 more pretty good teams right there. We got Arizona. I'd like to take 2 out of 3, I'd love to take 3 out of 3, but if we got 2 out of 3, I'd be so happy about that. We made some moves this week. I'm kind of happy with both of these moves. They sent Palante down, who had been struggling, and they're talking about maybe stretching him out to be a starter. So he went back to Memphis, and we bought Pedro Pages up. Now he was up once before, and this allows us now to have Contreras DH or Herrera DH. Put both catchers into the lineup and still have a reserve third guy on the bench just in case something happens. So that's good. So Contreras is going to get, I mean, he's one of the hottest hitters we have. And the other move, we finally sent Victor Scott the second back to Memphis. He was just overwhelmed. He was hitting, I got a stat somewhere around here, but it was so bleak. I felt so bad for the guy. But we brought up Nick Robinson from Memphis. He's a pitcher. Don't know a lot about him. I'll have to check him out more thoroughly. But Scott was hitting 085, and he only had 2 walks, 15 strikeouts, and 59 at bats, and only 5 hits. But there's a kid I kind of want to focus on here, and some of the good players. Ciani, this outfielder we have, who's been down in the minors for a while, but he's still a young kid. He's under 25 years old. He's only hitting 190, but that's 100 points better than Victor Scott was. He was always coming in at the end of the games, taking over in right field for Walker. He's a fast kid on our team. He's probably the fourth fastest, but he's a very fast kid. He's been stealing bases. And one thing I like, Vince, about this kid is he bunts. He's like a Brett Butler bunter. He's bunted 4 times, 3 for sacrifices, and he almost legged out every single one of those, and he got 1 for a hit. Watch this kid. The Cardinals are bunting more. Lars Newbar when the day after Whitey passed, Lars got a bunt hit, and Ciani got a bunt hit, and I ain't seen that in years. That's really good. Contreras hitting 286, 2 home runs, 7 RBIs. Arenado, who started out the first week, maybe a little slow, he's hitting 289, playing great defense, of course. And our shortstop, Wynn, is hitting 323 with 4 stolen bases. I don't expect him to hit home runs, but he doesn't have any, but 6 RBIs. And I'm telling you what, those guys have done really good, but for the most part, we're just striking out too much. And people, I hear on these radio shows, Vince, that people are talking about, oh, Ollie, his job could be up for grabs. Well, I tell you what, the guy I would worry if I was a Cardinals is Turner Ward, the hitting coach. Usually, that's the first thing they do. If things aren't going good, they get rid of the pitching coach or the hitting coach. And right now, with us striking out, some of the batting averages we have, oh my Lord, we got some really low batting averages. That Turner Ward, he's the one that might go first. So keep an eye open for that. But I hope we turn everything around and it's all, solid days after that.
If memory serves me correct, Turner Ward was a contact slappy type hitter. He wasn't a
Yeah.
power hitter.
I remember with Cleveland Indians
Yeah.
or Cleveland Guardians.
So I'm thinking, and it would be his fault. I don't think the message is bad. I think he is. I don't think he wants to lead the league in strikeouts. His team. So there's to me there's probably more of a communication issue or a trust issue with the players. They're trusting their own ability more than his information, and so they're striking out. And I saw this last week with Canario in a game that went that all he had to do was make contact. We had a runner on third base with 1 out. All he has to do is make contact, and we score a run. And he swung from his heels and struck out swinging. And I was talking to Max, and I was texting my dad. It drives me crazy that you can get to this level and not understand situational hitting. You don't need to hit a home run to be a hero. You need to get the bat on the damn ball, put it in play. A sacrifice fly does good. You hit a ground out to a drawn in infield, unless you hit it right at somebody, it's either going to be a hit or they're going to have to scramble for the ball and you're going to score the run anyway. But anyway, that's one of the reasons why we lost the game, and I'll get into it pretty soon, is because clueless about the situation. You don't need to hit a home run in that situation. Get the ball in play, and you've got a good shot at scoring a run. I don't care if it's a contact play, the runner breaks from third, you hit a screaming shot, one hopper to the third baseman, he throws you out easily at home. That's better than a strikeout to me because you at least had a chance there. With a strikeout, nothing good happens in that situation, and the Cubs lost. Anyway, soapbox over.
Vince, I got three statistics for you that's really the story here. Team averages. The Cardinals are 26th in all of baseball with average at 220. Do you know who the lowest betting average for a team is?
Who?
The Chicago White Sox. Team batting average 190. Oh, team batting average. And Vince, I put the Cubs stats down there. You guys are 12th in baseball with a 247 batting average. And we're 12th in the most strikeouts. We've struck out 194. The 12th, like one, the top team, the team that strikes out the most is number one. We're 12 with 194. I thought we would be higher than that. The team that strikes out the most are the Oakland A's with 229, and you guys are 18th with 188 strikeouts. And then on base percentage, we're 24th with a 324. The worst team in baseball, the White Sox, 263, and you guys are eighth with a 327 on base percentage. I just wanted to go over that. And that's kind of the story right there. No, we're not getting the ball in play. When we do have men on base, we're not coming through. And hopefully, it's been 3 weeks. It's not the end of the world. Last year, I kept saying that. It just got worse and worse and worse. But this year, I like the team we have, the young players. So, and the veterans. So the pitching is way better than last year, and the bullpen is very solid. So it's not the end of the world, St. Louis. Calm down. It's going to get better.
Okay. In Cubs news, I'll start with the best news we have. Justin Steele has had his first bullpen session, and it was successful. So hopefully we're going to see him back in a few weeks. We called up Matt Mervis today. We recalled Luke Little, who I'm very high on. We've talked about him. He was sent down to AAA for less than a week, and he's back up. Wisniewski was called up. Wisniewski was up, and he was just up to eat some innings. He did really good. They sent him right back down to AAA, and then like 36 hours later, he's getting called back up. So we got Mervis, Little, and Wisniewski available tonight. Garrett Cooper has been DFA'd. He's going to latch on somewhere. He was hitting 270 for us. He wasn't doing bad. We just really don't have any room for him. He's a right-hander. He's a former All-Star. He can play first base. He can DH. He can be a good acquisition for a team like the White Sox or the A's or the Rockies that could just use a veteran bat and someone who give you a professional at bat. And so I hope he gets latched onto pretty quick. We also put Kyle Hendricks on the 15-day IL with a lower back issue, which means that that's one of those phantom things, if you ask me. Drew Smiley is on the IL with a hip impingement, and that's why we called up Little and Wisniewski. This week, we were 3-3, and we are currently 13-9. Game and a half in back of the beer guzzlers from Milwaukee. So we go over the games. If I can get my notes in order here. There we go. So last week we lost to Arizona 12-11. And good news is Horner has started hitting. Horner was 4 for 5 in that game with an RBI, a couple runs. He had an abysmal start, so he started to hit. Ian Happ went 3 for 5, hit a grand slam. Amaya was 2 for 5. Of course, when you score 11 runs, you're doing pretty good. The problem was the pitching, and let me get to the pitching stats for this game. Hendricks started this game. He pitched 4 1/3 innings, gave up 5 hits, 7 runs, all 7 earned, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, gave up 2 home runs. So after 4 starts, his ERA was 12.71. And then we just had a parade of pitchers. Almonte had a clean inning. Other than that, everybody got hit a little bit. And Alzolay came in to save the game because we were up 11-10 in the ninth, and Alzolay gave up the lead, his third blown save of the season. And then Smiley actually got the loss in extras. So the next night in Arizona, we won 5-3. Swanson had a couple of hits. Bellinger went 2 for 4 with a home run. Bush 2 more hits, still hitting hot. Tauchman has started hitting. He was 2 for 4. And Bellinger, like I said, hit his third home run. Jordan Wicks, he pitched 4 1/3 innings, only gave up 2 runs, but his pitch count got high, even though he only walked 1, struck out 5. He's having trouble with his pitch count. He gets a lot of foul balls hit off of him, doesn't throw hard, and relies on that changeup. And people just keep fouling him off. So he's having trouble getting out of the 5th inning. But then Wisniewski, who we brought up, he pitched 4 innings of 1 hit ball, got the win. Then Smiley came off, finished it up. So we finished off the series in Arizona with a loss and a win. And then on Thursday, the Marlins came into town for 4 games. Thursday's game was rained out, so that was scheduled as a doubleheader on Saturday. So Friday, in our first game against Miami, we won 8-3. Horner continued to stay hot with a couple of hits. Bellinger had a couple of hits. Swanson had 2 hits. Happ was 0 for 2 and then got pulled out of the game with a left hamstring issue. He's not been IL'd, but he hasn't played since, so he's kind of a day-to-day thing. Tauchman came in and he went 2 for 2, and Tauchman has gotten hot. And this was Jameson Taillon's first start of the year. He pitched 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 4 strikeouts. And we really needed those tremendous 5 innings from him. And it gave a real shot in the arm to our starting staff. So we are Justin Steele away from having our staff completely intact. Keegan Thompson came back up, and he pitched a couple innings of clean baseball, and we won the game 8-3. So then the Saturday game, the first game of the doubleheader, we lost 3-2, and this is the game I was talking about where Canario did not understand situational baseball. Horner did have a couple more hits. Wisdom, he hit a 2-run double. A 2-run triple. Assad pitched 4 2/3, gave up a run. And we were winning 2-1, and we brought in Alzolay, our closer, and he gave up a 2-run home run, and we lost. And that was his 4th blown save. So we're 13-9 now. If he converts those 4 saves, we are 17-6. So
first place.
Yeah. So needless to say, with his 4 blown saves and only 3 saves, he's lost his closer job. We lost to Miami 3-2. Miami was pitching Jesus Luzardo, and he came in with a 7 ERA, but he is a tough pitcher, and he was on. So it was very difficult for us to score runs. After the first inning, we had the 2-run triple by Wisdom. That was it. In the nightcap, we won 5-3 against the Marlins. Bellinger hit a home run. Canario hit a home run. Bush had a couple more hits, a couple more RBIs. Imanaga pitched 6 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 of them earned, 5 Ks, got the win. He's 3-0 with an ERA of 0.84. Those 2 earned runs were the first 2 earned runs he's given up all season. Ben Brown pitched a couple of clean innings, and I've been so high on him. And aside from that very first outing, he has been lights out, whether we started him or put him in the pen. And Hector Neris, I guess, is temporarily taken over the bulk of the closer role, and he actually pitched a clean inning and got the save. So the final game against the Marlins, we lost 6-3. Hendricks pitched again, 4 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, gave up another home run, 0-3, 12 ERA after 5 starts. That's why he has a lower back issue.
Yes.
But as far as the offense goes, Warner continued his hot hitting, was 3 for 5 with a couple RBIs. Tottenham was 2 for 4. He's continued his hot hitting. So, like I said, we finished the week 3-3. Not the best, but it's a week in baseball. We didn't completely screw it up. The Marlins were bound to start to get a little hot, and they played good baseball against us. Although one game, well, the series, Chaz Chisholm Jr. just he had trouble fielding. So
Oh yeah.
the game we lost 6-3. We had like 3 balls that we lost in the sun, and that's how they won. So it was a decent week. I will say, as of right now, we are up in the top of the fourth, 5-0 on the Astros. Bellinger's hit a home run, and Talkman has hit a 3-run homer. So stay cold, Houston. Stay cold.
Yeah, that's a good team. I can't believe they're struggling like they are.
Let
They're
them.
gonna get people healthy too, and hopefully we're done with them by the time that happens.
Just get out of town. If we take a couple, 3, we do the sweep. I don't care. Just get through this without much damage and get them out of town, and then we won't see them again until October when we beat them in the World Series.
There you go. I like the way you think. There you go. Positivity.
You know who's never been cold? I mean, just is always on a hot streak.
Or Jeremy Connor.
Oh, Jeremy
Connor.
Comes a time in every man's life when he needs some advice on relationships. You need to listen to the podcast DMDR, which stands for Dating, Marriage, Divorce, Remarriage, from my good friend Jeremy Connor, the Dr. Phil of the Boot Hill. You can find DMDR on Spotify or whatever platform you choose to listen to your podcast. All right. Well, JJ had an idea to talk about our top 5 baseball up and comers, and he left it kind of open, like whatever,
Yeah. Stadiums.
If it's
food.
A popcorn vendor, yeah,
send a shout out. We're going to bring attention to some of these special.
Smith out in Boston, he can really sling the popcorn, man.
You got to see this. Well, Vince, there's so many out there, and the attention goes to all, the Trouts and the Otanis and, all these players like that. But there's a lot of good players that's kind of went underneath the radar and that we should bring attention to. But the thing is, I can't get much past you because sometimes I got my list and in our conversations, you'll be mentioning some of these people. And I'm like, oh, I was going to say that one. But I've got 5 here I think you're going to like. And the first one I have on my list is Ranger Suarez of the Philadelphia Phillies. And the reason, and this guy's been lights out, he's 4-0, 1.36 ERA, 33 innings. He's got 32 strikeouts and 5 walks. He's been incredible, but a lot of people don't notice him because he's number 3 in that rotation behind Wheeler and Nola, who deservingly are superstars. But don't let this guy go unnoticed. He's in his 8th season, and by far, this is the fastest start he's had. Keep an eye out for this guy. I hope he pitches a lot of games against the Cubs this year. I just say that because I hope we don't have to face him too much. But right now, he's on fire. He is, in his history, he's only 28 years old and played 8 seasons, and he's started 7 postseason games. So he has a lot of history where he's seen a lot of things, and this is the year he might be putting it all together, but he's a tough customer right now. And what else was I going to say about him? The Phillies are 15-8, and they're one game behind Atlanta right now. So you can't count these Phillies out, and their hitting's going to start to get hot too. Some of their superstars hasn't really got it going yet, and they have won 7 in a row. That's another thing. Besides him, Ranger, I was also going to talk about the Phillies because they were just sitting back there, and all of a sudden they've got red hot, and they won 7 in a row, and right behind Atlanta. That ought to be a fun chase all year. But Atlanta, my gosh, that's a star-studded team. So anyway, that's my first guy on my list is Ranger Suez.
Okay, I went to the minor leagues for my first guy,
Oh.
and I've seen him pitch twice. I saw him pitch in spring training, and then I actually caught about 4 innings of a minor league game just to see him pitch, and that's Paul Skeens, right-handed pitcher for the Pirates. He was the number one pick in last year's draft. As a junior at LSU, he was 12-2 and 209 strikeouts and 122 innings, just completely dominating in college. And people are comparing him. They're saying he's the best pitching prospect since Steven Strasburg. And people think, Steven Strasburg didn't have a tremendous career, he had a good career, but Steven Strasburg, without when he was healthy, was dominant. Um, Paul Skeens so far in AAA is pitched 12 and 2/3 of an inning, 5 hits, 4 walks, 27 strikeouts. Wow, that's over 2 an inning in AAA. That's pretty good. He
That's
does
unheard of.
he does not have an ERA yet because you got to give it
Oh.
an ERA. His WHIP is 0.71 in AAA. Now, when you can dominate like that in AAA, why are you still there? I think the Pirates need to call him up. I think and I'm sure he's on an innings limit this year. The Pirates aren't expected to win the World Series. If his innings limit is like 120 innings, 130 innings or so, let him pitch those in the majors. Let him get that experience because, like I said, there's no sense in him to go down there and dominate AAA because you can't learn anything when you're the best player there. You learn from your mistakes. Send him up to the majors. Let him see what the show is. Let him make his mistakes there so he will learn from them. But man, he just impresses me with this stuff, and he has it between the ears. Just a level-headed, smart pitcher who's got all the talent in the world. So that's my up and comer, my first up and comer.
I like that one. I tell you what, I don't care what team they're on. If they're something special, I want to go to the ballpark and see that player play, see what he does and how we stack up against a guy like that. Well, my fourth player, I had you brought this player to my attention, Vince, last year when you said there at the end of the year you guys had a series with Oakland. They have a pitcher named Mason Miller. Does that? Yes.
Yeah,
And I tell you what, last year, he Oakland A's, bless their hearts, they're not a very good team, but this kid is one of the gems on that team. And last year he was a starter, and he has only he's now they've moved him to the bullpen. Last year he was no wins, 3 losses, an ERA of 3.78, and 38 strikeouts in 33 innings. And then he got hurt, and they didn't want to push him that far, so they put him in the bullpen this year. And this kid has a four-seam fastball, and 73% of the time when he throws this four-seam fastball, it has reached over 100 miles an hour, 73% of the time. And he's averaging with that four-seamer 100.6 miles an hour, which is higher than any other player in baseball. And Helsley is second. So if you've seen Helsley pitch, like, oh my gosh, this guy's just a little bit better. He's in their bullpen, and this year, of course, they don't get many winning opportunities in Oakland, but he's 5 for 5 in save opportunities with a 1.80 ERA, 20 Ks in 10 innings. That's just dominating stuff. So if you're going to play Oakland, get ahead early, but this kid's going to come in, and then you got a big job ahead of you. So, Vince, you brought this kid to my attention last year, and the other day he pitched against the Yankees, which is one of the better teams in baseball. And in the ninth inning, he faced their top three batters, and he struck out Anthony Volpez. Then he Cade Soto on a 103-mile-an-hour fastball, and then he got judged to strike out. So he struck out the side, but he got judged on a 102-mile-an-hour fastball. So he struck out the side against the Yankees top three batters right there. So keep an eye on this Mason Miller kid. Could be special if you collect cards. Maybe that's a card you might want to invest in. Or one day, he'll probably be in a Los Angeles Dodger uniform playing for them.
Hey,
I know that's how it is, Vince. It's not fair.
before I go to bed. Oh my gosh. Um, I I think it was his major league debut against the Cubs last year, and I think he didn't make it out of the fifth or the fourth.
Okay.
First time through the lineup, uh, he went through us like a knife through butter, and then we got to him. Um, but you could see the raw stuff is there. Hey, yeah, yeah. So I had the same thought you did. Well, that just means that he's going to pitch in Oakland for 4 years, and they're going to trade him for 30 players to a contender. So my next up and comer, who is going to be my last player, is Wyatt Langford, the left fielder for the Rangers. Um, he uh, he played oh uh, last year. He went through four levels and hit 360, 17 doubles, 10 home runs, 12 stolen bases, and that doesn't count the 21 home runs that he hit earlier in the season when he was finishing up his senior year at Florida. Um, he's went north with the team. He is now batting 241 with a 311 on base percentage, 9 RBIs, 6-1 on base or OPS. So he's not setting the world on fire. But when you watch him hit, you can see all the tools are there. It's going to click sooner than later, and he's going to be a force. I predict when he gets hot, when he figures things out, whether it's next week, a couple weeks, Rangers are going to take off. They're not going to be sitting at around 500 leading this division. And Houston better hope that doesn't happen before they get hot because they could run away with this really quick. But I love all the tools that he has. He DH'd against the Cubs, and then he played left field um, in one of the games and had a pretty decent catch. So all the tools are there. But what I really like is all the reports are that he's got such a knowledge of the game. His baseball IQ is off the charts. And when you talk about baseball IQ, that's stuff like understanding situational baseball, being able to guess what the pitcher is trying to do with you, having a plan when you go to the plate, understanding your throwing to the right base, just the fundamentals of baseball that make you, from a good baseball player to a great one. And he's got it between the ears. So Wyatt Langford, my number two up and comer.
Man, and that's winning baseball, Vince. Like you said, moving the runners over, sacrifice fly, putting the bat on the ball. That's winning baseball. Maybe pitching around their best pitcher or not, making him go, hit them corners. If he doesn't go after it, move on to the next one. But that's winning baseball. Yeah, and that's what it takes. And if your leader does that, usually the rest of the team will follow. I'm with you about that, the fundamentals. Well, Vince, my next one is not a player. I love baseball giveaways. And as a kid, they have just gotten better and better and better. And this was one of the most unique giveaways I've ever heard of. There's a team called, and the minor leagues have some great team names. There's a team in Richmond called the Flying Squirrels, and I love their hats. I'm going to get one of these hats. I seen a hat of I love squirrels anyway. So the Flying Squirrels, and this is of course in Virginia. And on July 10th, I don't know if you knew this, you probably have it marked on your calendar. It's National Hot Dog Day, July 10th. And on that day, to celebrate National Hot Dog Day, they're giving away 1,000 hot dog scented candles for anyone 15 and over. So get your tickets now, get in line, and get your hot dog scented candle from the Richmond Flying Squirrels.
Yeah, okay.
Woohoo!
Uh, my next two up and comers are guys that I think are going to get a chance to manage in the majors sooner rather than later. And they seem to have the pedigree to be pretty good managers. My first is Tim Cossins, who is right now the fielding coordinator and catching coach for the Orioles. He's been with the organization since 2019, so he's been there from the bad times through all this good talent coming in through drafts to where now they're seeing the fruits of their labor. From 2019 to 2021, he was Brandon Hyde's bench coach. Um, and he had worked together with Hyde with the Marlins and the Cubs. So Hyde knows him pretty well and trusts him. He's only 51 years old. He's was a minor league manager for the Marlins. He was a minor league catcher coordinator for them. Um, he joined the Cubs and replaced Hyde as the Cubs minor league field coordinator in 2013 when Hyde was promoted to be the bench coach under Joe Madden. So when Hyde left to become the Orioles manager, Cousins followed him to be his bench manager. He's got all the grooming and experience that you would want to be a manager. He's 51 years old, so he's in that right age to move into a manager's position. So when manager jobs start opening up, I see him being a name that you're going to see a lot of at the top of people's lists um, as a potential manager. So that's my third up and comer, Tim Cossins from the Orioles.
All right, very good. I didn't know much about that guy. Well, my number four, or if we're going down, it's number two, is Rickwood Field, and it's the oldest professional ballpark. And I put in the U.S., but in the world, it's this ballpark was home of the Birmingham Barons of the Negro Leagues, and it was established in 1910. And Willie Mays actually played for the Birmingham Barons there in the Negro Leagues. Well, now it's a home of a minor league team, and what I like is to keep this history alive. The city of Birmingham and MLB have went in and renovated this ballpark, and it looks fantastic. Now, it's not as big as Wrigley or Busch. It doesn't hold as many people, but the Birmingham Baron minor league team plays some games there, and they wear the classic uniforms from those team from the Barons and whoever they're playing. And I think that's great that they're keeping the history alive and telling the history of baseball and the history of America and some of the greatest players that went through there. Now, like I said, Willie Mays played there, and on June 20th this year, the Cardinals and the Giants are going to play a game in that stadium, and Willie Mays is going to be there. Of course, that's his team, the Giants. He's the greatest living baseball player right now, and St. Louis will be the home team. And it was 75 years ago that Willie played in that ballpark. So it's going to be a special event. In 2013, the Barons moved 3 miles away, but they do, like I say, play a game there. And I just think that's fantastic that they renovated the stadium. And it's going to be there. And it's just a special place, not only like a museum, but it's still an active ballpark in the United States. So I don't think any of us will be able to go to those games because there's only so many seats. And of course, the people of Birmingham and the high dignitaries and the ex-baseball players will all get, and the families of the players playing will get those seats. But that's fantastic. I'm going to watch that on TV for sure. So that's my number four.
Nice. My number four is another managerial candidate. He is the current Cubs third base coach, Willie Harris. Started his professional coaching career, he had a major league career, but started his professional coaching in the Pioneer Baseball League as a hitting coach for the Great Falls Voyagers in 2016. The Great Falls Voyagers are affiliated with the White Sox, and he was named Manager of the Year. And then he also went on to manage the Richmond Flying Squirrels, the San Francisco Giants organization, in the 2018 season. 2019, he went to the Reds as a base runner and outfielder coordinator, and since 2021, he's been the Cubs' third base coach. What I like about Willie Harris is he's got a great baseball mind. He's got a lot of experience, but he is a players type coach. They love him. He jokes around with them. When it's time to get serious, he gets serious with them. And he is a heck of a third base coach. You don't see too many Cubs being thrown out at third base or at home. He knows when to send. He knows when to hold. Um, and he's very animated on the field, and you can tell he loves baseball. He loves winning, and he's a major asset to any team that's going to have him. He's the type of coach who, when you want to hire that coach, that Bobby Valentine, who's a player's coach, who all the players love playing for, but if you add a little more sensibility to that, that's what and I
Yeah.
think he's going to be a manager one day for a major league team.
Well, Vince, my fifth one is we had a episode where we talked about I know Shannon was on the show and we talked about women and coming up in MLB with umpiring and working in the offices and coaching in the minors. Well, there's a lady over in Japan and her first name is Eri Yoshida. She's 31 years old, and I remember we talked about would a female ever play in the major leagues, and I'm sure there's a possibility. I wanted to play in the major leagues. I wasn't good enough, but I thought if somebody had a special pitch that nobody else could throw, I thought maybe that would be the way they could get into the big leagues because there's just not enough pitchers. And this young lady, well, 31 years old, she's a sidearm knuckleballer, and she hopes to play in the majors in the U.S. or in Japan. And she has played in leagues. She played 2 months in the Empire League over in Japan. She's 5'1", and her nickname is the Knuckle Princess. She just recently last year had an injury to her elbow and her collarbone, but she found out about the knuckleball by watching Tim Wakefield pitch, and she got to meet Tim Wakefield. He showed her some of his techniques and everything, and I'm pulling for her because this would be great. And she's worked a long time at this. I've seen some videos of her throwing it. I'm amazed at the knuckleball. It looks easy to hit and easy to catch, but it's neither. And man, this would be a great story. So I'm pulling for her, and I don't know. Let's see what happens there.
Nice. Well, I must be a sexist because I didn't include any females on this.
No, you're not.
But my number five, which I guess my number one, who I really have a lot of faith in, is a guy named JJ Piccolo. He is um, he's with the Kansas City Royals as their general manager and executive vice president. He has been employed with the Royals since 2006. But starting in 1999, he joined the Atlanta Braves as a scout. So he started as a scout and has worked his way up. When the Royals hired Dayton Moore as their general manager in 2006, his first hire was Piccolo, naming him the director of player development. So he was developing those players that turned into two World Series appearances and one World Series championship with the Kansas City Royals. And you see that the Royals are an up and coming team now. They promoted Moore to team president and Piccolo to general manager in 2021. And um, when they let Moore go last September, Piccolo became not just the general manager, he became the president of the baseball operation. So he's kind of got a lot of hats, a lot of power with the Kansas City organization. And that's probably the reason that we saw these more aggressive moves to get the Michael Wachos, to get the more established players that would help these young players along. And that formula is working. So not only was he kind of behind the scenes building that organization that went to two World Series and winning one, he is now more at the forefront, putting together this team in Kansas City. So I think that he's going to be one of those GMs that we're going to start thinking this is one guy that really does pull most of the right strings. No GM is going to pull every right string because you're dealing with human beings that get injured, they get sick of playing or whatever, you know. But you can just pull the right strings and hope that that goes well. And I was really impressed what he did with the off season. And then when I dug into him and found out that he has been there since 2006, he was director of player development. He's Yeah, he's done a lot for that organization. I think there's a
Okay.
lot more to come. So that's my number one, JJ Piccolo.
All right. Thank you, Vince. I never even heard of him.
Well,
May I go over the fantasy leagues?
that's what I was going to say. What's going on in fantasy baseball?
Oh man, we've got ourselves a stretch already. Now, over in the American League, every week we've had a different person in first place. Well, this week we've got a three-way tie at the top. The Royals are 13 and 10, the Tigers are 13 and 10, and the Red Sox are 13 and 10. So that's Brody Jackson, Tony Pruno, and Ray Hartman. Ray Hartman's been talking a lot. He's like, oh man, I've been watching the Red Sox, and O'Neill went down. Oh my gosh, we got to do this and that. Their pitching staff has been surprisingly very good this year, and they've kept them in some games. So they're 13 and 10. And actually, they were the hottest team of the three this week. They went 4-2. The Tigers were 3-3, and the Royals were 2-4. Andrew Gieselman, who was in fifth last week with the Mariners, pulls up into the fourth spot. Candy Burks was in fourth with the Angels, falls down to fifth, and in last place, Dan Rutledge and the Chicago White Sox at 3-19 in the American League. So got three teams at the top. In the National League, Dennis Rose has had his grips on first place for the first 3 weeks of the season, but the Chicago Cubs and Larry Wildy have passed them by. And so Larry and the Cubs are 13 and 9. The Pirates have slipped down to 12 and 11. They've been in a slump. The Padres hold the third spot. That's Robbie Spear. And then moving up a spot is the Nationals, Tom Maget. They're 10 and 11. And then Kevin Lee and the Cardinals. Come on, Kevin, get our Cardinals going, man. We'll have to get somebody in there, take over. But they're in the fifth spot, 10 and 13. And in last place, Brandon from Cincinnati and the Colorado Rockies are 5 and 18. So right now it'd be the Cubs versus one of those three teams over in first place in the American League. So that's it for our fantasy league, and this is going on all year. And it's going to be fun the whole year.
Very good. What are you opening up?
Well, last week I fell in love with those Heritage 2024s. So I went down to Caledonia and got me a pack of these bad boys right down there.
Okay, have you told your wife you're in love with a pack of baseball cards now?
She's okay with that. There you go. Oh, we got some good ones right out of the gate here, Vince. All right. I tell you what, we got ourselves one of these Chrome cards right out of the gate. It's a Chicago Cub. Maybe you've heard of this guy, shortstop Darby Swanson.
Hey, there he is.
Very nice card. I think these are worth a little bit more. I don't know, but they look nice. I like that. Diamondback Bruce Jarvis, a pitcher. There you go. Looking like the 1975 cards. Very nice. Of course, in 75, the Diamondbacks were not a team yet. Oh, you might remember this guy. Part of your world championship team, Detroit Tiger shortstop Javier Baez, the magician.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, there he is. Vince, I'm ashamed I don't know this guy. Maybe you can tell me something about him. Pitcher for the Cubs, Michael Rucker.
No longer pitching for the Cubs.
No longer a Cubby. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where he went.
All right. We need to put him on the back of a milk carton.
I don't think he's a triple A. I think I think he's with someone else.
I'll be darned. Atlanta Brave, and of course it's the all-star star there. Another very good player that came up out of Oakland, catcher Sean Murphy, and I love that card of him.
Yeah.
Right there. This kid, and there was talk of him coming, but you know what? Everything works out for a reason. We got Contreras and Eli Marrero now. Or Eli Marrero. What the heck am I talking about?
Man, he's like 60 years old. What do you need him for?
I answered the Immaculate Grid today with Eli Marrero. I was trying to, oh, there went Fredbird. I was trying to get a lot of rarity points right there. And I had Eli Marrero.
Fredbird just like, oh gosh, I'm just out of here now.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, right there. He's rolling over in his grave back there. Fredbird is. All right. Blue Jay Alejandro Kirk, catcher. We got a couple catchers there.
Former All-Star. Yeah.
Yeah, very good player. Let's see here. Oh, 2023 victory leaders. And there you go. I like that. It was the top 4 victories. I see Zach Gallen there and Strider. And so there's the top pitchers from last year. And finally, a San Francisco Giant in their orange uniforms, Lamont Wade Jr. from the Giants, right there. So that's
Yeah,
my.
did he get traded?
I don't know. I don't know.
Um, for some reason, yeah. But I'm an old man. You know, a lot of the stuff that goes on up here isn't true. It's just like stuff that my mind thinks may be true.
I'm still talking about Eli Marrero. Look at me, man. I don't know what the heck I'm talking about.
All right. Well, I am opening up 1990 Fleer baseball wax
Ooh,
package, which I love wax
yay.
package because they're so easy to open up like that. Oh, we have a baseball quiz to start off. True or false? The Mets won a World Series on their 8th year of existence.
I think it's true. The
That
'69
is
Miracle
true.
Mets.
In what year did the Mets play the first game at Shea Stadium?
Well, I guess that would be 60. Ooh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. The Beatles played there in 66, 67, I think. So I'm going to say 65.
64.
Ooh, okay.
Um, True or false? The Mets played their home games at Ebbets Field in 1962.
Oh, I guess true. I don't know.
False. They played at the Polo Grounds.
Polo Grounds. Okay.
Number four. What team did the Mets overtake in September to win the National League crown in 1969? That's
With the way you're acting, I'm going to say the Cubs.
Oh yeah, the Cubs 69 we fell apart.
Oh,
What a terrible, rotten question. Uh,
yeah.
I dropped my first card.
You're making those old man sounds, Vince.
I have the old man sounds, yes. Um, we have a former first round pitcher who had a decent major league career, Big Ben McDonald, pitcher for the Orioles.
Oh yeah, from Louisiana.
Yeah. Um, our next card is pitcher for the Mariners, Mike Schooler.
I remember him.
Oh, this guy was strong. Pitch for the Mets, Jeff Musselman. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, Third baseman for the Orioles, Randy Mulligan.
I sort of remember him.
Uh, Pitcher for the Phillies, Jeff Parrott.
Yes. Jeff Parrott. Played for a lot of
Oh,
teams.
the, the guy apparently is not quite a great human being, but he was a great pitching coach for the Cubs. This is when he pitched for the Brewers, Chris Bosio.
I didn't know anything about his personal life, but yeah, he was a pretty good pitcher.
He went from the Cubs to Detroit. He got fired for some racial comments he made that were,
Oh,
yeah. Outfielder for the Guardians, who were then the Indians, Brad Kaminsky. Uh, Fleer, Major League prospects, George Canal and Kevin Moss. I remember Kevin Moss had a hot start as a Yankee
eight
and
home runs in September that
yeah,
one year.
then just faded into obscurity.
I went out and bought a bunch of his cards too, thinking, oh, this is the next Mantle or something.
Oh, this pitcher was pretty good. Was an all-star pitcher. Pitched in the World Series for the Blue Jays. Sharp left-hander Jimmy Key had a good career.
I like Jimmy Key,
Yeah.
solid pitcher.
Oh, and this guy has the distinction of leading the league in home runs during a strike season. Very good power hitter. Played for the Angels in Boston, and then his son was a pitcher in the major league. Tony Armas.
Tony Armas, yeah, Oakland A too. I think he played for Oakland.
Yeah, he did play for the A's. Yep, yep. Um, oh, and just a tremendous pitcher. At one time, probably had the nastiest stuff in baseball. Pitched for the Rangers, then he pitched for the Marlins. I think he may have pitched for the Dodgers too. I don't know. Kevin Brown there with the Rangers.
Oh yeah, seemed like every team that won, he was on a team. Every team he'd bounce around the league, and every team was pretty good. He was on. I remember
He
that.
threw a very heavy fastball that if he didn't
Yeah.
strike you out, you just thudded it onto the infield and grounded out. Uh, 10th anniversary player of the decade, Fernando Valenzuela.
Fernando Maney, 81. Yes.
Pretty good card. Um,
They just retired his number, by the way. The Dodgers did.
oh yeah. Yep. Pitcher for the A's, very good late relief guy, more of a setup guy, Gene Nelson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Middle guy.
Uh, Former All-Star pitcher for the old Expos, Bryn Smith.
Oh, yeah. He came and pitched for us for a couple of years.
Yeah, I remember.
And him and Giddy Lee from Rush are good friends.
Hmm.
Giddy Lee came to spring training with the Cardinals one time, and you think all the ball players are just average sized people, but you see Giddy Lee next to the Cardinal players. He's a little skinny guy running around there shagging flies.
Outfielder for the Dodgers, Mike Davis, played good in the World Series,
Oh
if I
yeah,
recall, in '88.
good
And
ball player.
yeah, he's with Oakland. He had years where he hit 24 and 22 home runs, so he had some pop. But he went to the Dodgers and kind of became a bench player. And finally, pitcher for the Cubs out of the bullpen, left-hander, also pitched for the Braves, Paul Ossenmacher.
Oh, I remember him.
Yeah, kind of a
Long last name. That's hard to fit on the back of a uniform.
yeah, yep, that's him. So all right. Well, I do want to say, going into the bottom of the sixth, the Cubs are clinging to a 5-2 lead. Do not have the Cardinal game up. Let me look at the score here real fast.
Oh no, I'm gonna sweat
Watch
it.
this and already know everything. I'm going to tell you.
All right.
They already won or lost or whatever. Um, you are. Oh, jeez, oh, Diesel. I do not like this. You're down 10-1 in the fifth inning.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No, I'm not. I wish
All
Matt's
right.
4 1/3 innings, 7 runs.
Uh,
And Thompson came in 2/3 of an inning, 3 runs.
oh.
So anyway, well, gonna go upstairs with the wife. Ain't gonna be happy now. So. All right. Well, JJ, you have a good week.
You
Everybody
too.
have a good week, and remember, it's still just April. Baseball is early, and let's enjoy it. Until the end when we absolutely either love our team or hate our team for breaking our hearts. But right now, just enjoy it because everybody is in it except for Colorado and the White Sox. All right.